The charges here are really, it's just if can be proved, what a pile of stupidity to get a phone call and then start calling your family to provide insider trading information, if true.
It is pretty remarkable, especially considering the congressman was at the time under an ethics investigation by Congress. I want to point out a couple things for viewers as well here, that while his attorneys have already stated, look, he didn't sell any shares, that's not what the government is alleging. He, as a board of directors member, violated trust and confidence when he shared the drug trial results with his son and his son's fiance's father. And note that the indictment report talks about an additional 6 conspirators. These are unnamed, but it does include his son's fiance or now wife. I also want to point out the fact that lying to the FBI carries with it the same penalty as conspiracy to commit SEC fraud. Now, all of these 3 gentlemen are also currently being sued by the SEC for civil charges for this entire debacle. And then last point, it has taken over a year for the government to explore this relatively simple, and you could argue, based on what we know, slam dunk case. So I just want to point out for viewers that the volume of information and evidence that is still collected, that the amount of T's crossed and I's dotted by the government is always considerable.
We watched the news conference today here in our newsroom earlier, and it was astounding the specificity which was delivered. The Congressman Collins is not only at a government function, he's in the White House yard when this happened. He gets a phone call from the guy at the company going, "Hey, we're done." And while in the White House yard, it is alleged by prosecutors, Congressman Collins began calling his family members. Couldn't get through initially. There were 5 no answers, and then a phone call, and then a flurry of calls. Then the next day, sales start, and then the next day there are more, and then finally, the company gives notice to the public that the clinical trials, that the only real big drug in their pipeline failed, and the stock went down 92%. This saved members of his family, according to the prosecutors, close to $800,000.
Exactly. And note as well, too, the relatively minimal amounts that the conspirators are alleged to have saved, $10,000 at a time, $50,000 at a time. Obviously, that's a lot of money. But in terms of the prosecutorial resources spent expending on this and their losses relative to, for example, the congressman's losses of millions, it's a small amount. So it goes to show how seriously the government takes this. Note, too, his son is 25 years old, and they are all facing count upon count of 20-year penalty charges. And so I think the opportunity here for squeezing by the government, for pressure upon them, for one of them, especially the son, to flip or provide material information is considerable here.